the power of authenticity. And I'll tell you why I wanted us to talk about this. Because what I found is that, as we grow older, there's a tendency for us to lose ourselves. So you become a parent, you lose yourself. Even as a single person, you put on that label, and other people put on the label. The label, you are single, married, I'm a career person. But the truth is that all those titles, all those labels are not who you are. So I thought it would be great for us to talk about the power of authenticity. And our guest baristas have graciously agreed to talk about this topic here today. So, who's going to start this? Jayne, why me? What exactly is authenticity?
So since I like definitions, I want to give you a definition. Before I came in, even this morning, my older daughter said, your younger daughter is doing a talk today. She's been married for a year. And she's been asked to talk about how do you retain who you are in marriage and don't lose yourself. So she and I began talking about just that, about marriage, not losing yourself. And I said a lot of it starts with assumptions about what you think your spouse is expecting of you. So I said, honey, wake up every day and be intentional about what drew your spouse to you and what drew you to him. That is your authenticity. This is who you are, your weaknesses, your strength, and every day living out that in your life. Because when you are authentic as a person, you draw others also to yourself. That's why when you're authentic as a person, you draw others to yourself. Because people are drawn to that honesty, that truth, and that openness, and your flaws.
Do you guys agree?
Yes.
It's difficult to come on the back of that. Other than summarizing that, being authentic means being who you are in the context of who you are. And a lot of people think about who they are, but they don't know who they are. And unless you know who you are, it's difficult to define who you are.
Wow.
How do I talk about who you are? Authenticity simply means being genuine. One word for authenticity, it simply means being genuine. An apple is not a mango and doesn't try to be a mango. What many of us try to do is be inauthentic, so we lose our authenticity. So when you actually cut an apple, you see the core, you see the seed. That is the authentic apple. So for every single one of us, authenticity for me actually means being authentic. I am loud, I am in your face, I have a cute smile, I'm everywhere. But it's not everybody's like it. And like she said, that draws people to me, and also that draws people away from me. And that's okay. So just be who you are.
Thank you so much. Okay. So, in what ways can authenticity positively impact personal relationships? Then, Dr. Gbenga.
Because being authentic means you are who you are. You don't change. You don't try to be somebody else. You don't try to be who you are. Because being authentic means you are who you are. You don't change. You don't try to be who you are. It can be liberating, and when it is liberating, it can draw other people to you because people want to accept what is real and what is not unusual. I'm trying to think about something that I can say was truly really authentic, and that also then builds relationship. And one person that we can talk about is Nelson Mandela, who was a man that was truly really authentic. Spent 27 years in prison. Came out to lead a nation that was completely divided, that needed inspiration. And he could afford to address the blacks only, but he chose to address both the blacks and the whites. And in so doing, he was not defining himself about who he was, but he was defining himself about whose he was. He was truly South African, not black South African. And because of that, he was able to bring Frederick W. de Klerk, who was the president before him, to be his vice president. He had an Asian person as his finance person, and he had a rainbow coalition that was all around him. Also, during his struggles, he also had somebody else that they were fighting the same fights, but in different ways, and doing about it differently. I'm talking about Archbishop Desmond Tutu. So while they fought the same fights and they were all about the same thing, the way they went about doing things was very, very different. And they always had their acrimonies, but they still remained true to one another. And one of the things that happened, for example, was when Mandela decided to start dressing. Initially, he was dressing in a suit, but he felt that that was reflecting the old mantra, and decided to start wearing his Mandiba shirt, which was this batik kind of shirt that I decided to wear. And Archbishop Desmond Tutu approached him and said, "You can't be dressing like that." And jovially he said to him that, "I won't take fashion advice from a man that wears dresses." But going forward, Nelson Mandela was then able to wear that thing, and that finding such that shirt is actually now called the Mandiba shirt, and people are actually wearing it. But somebody then said, "How can you?" Because he addressed United Nations, and everybody that goes to United Nations is always in a dark suit, either a gray suit or a blue suit or black suit, white shirt, blue shirt, and a gray tie. But he stood there in his Mandiba shirt, and he was one of the only few people that could put it up. But he could only do that because he knew who he was and what he was about. And in so doing, he actually drew people to him because people saw the real him. They didn't see the modified Mandela. They didn't see the aggravated Mandela. They didn't see the Mandela that was trying to butter. They didn't see the Mandela that was trying to be something else. He was just real Mandela.
Thank you. Anybody want to add to that?
One of the reasons why we have to be authentic, and I'm going to speak more also from a psychotherapeutic point of view, is that when you're authentic, you exude trustworthiness, confidence, and safety. And for me, my work, people need to feel safe to open up to me. And people can tell when you're fake, when you're not real, when you're not yourself. But so when you are authentic, all of us, even if you're not a therapist like I am, people suddenly feel comfortable that, oh, I'm safe with Esther. If I tell Esther my story, she will hold it close to her heart. So then what does that then create? Connection, intimacy, when we have better and greater relationships. So this is so cool to be authentic. But our lack of authenticity goes way back to our problems. It's from when we are not accepted for who we are. And this can go way back to childhood, go way back to school. And then we think, oh, this Jayne is not acceptable. Maybe if I create a Jayne that I take out into the world, then that will work. And that works. Our inauthenticity breaks down. When we have a relationship failure, we have a crisis in our lives, suddenly the fake self doesn't work anymore. And that's when people have an existential crisis in their life. And then we go back, we in therapy, and we say, who were you at 4 years old? What did you like? Who shut you down? When did you lose your voice? We begin to map out where you've come from to get you here in order for you to go forward and be that person. We are not ashamed, but I'm a pastor's wife, and people have been trying to dress me for 30 years. Yeah, I saw somebody once in Ghana years ago. He said, if you are a pastor's wife, then I am the Pope. And I said, you, my friend, are not the Pope, and I am the pastor's wife. And it was simply because of how they think you should look. But I was being true to who I was because I've been so unauthentic for so long, to the point where I'm so real now. I tell my kids, even when I die, don't any way you choose to let me go. But don't put me in a box. I don't want to be limited.
How many people can relate to that? How many people, if you're being honest with yourself, how many people can say, yes, there was a point when I lost myself, I lost my voice? How many people can relate to that?
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of us, if you want to be honest, and relate to that. Please, if you want to ask questions, just put up your hands. Oh, somebody has a question already. Okay, please. Yeah.
So your question, so your question was the power of authenticity within relationships. We don't even have to talk about Nelson Mandela, and absolutely, I don't know Nelson Mandela. We don't have to look far. Let's look around. The power of authenticity in relationships. We have left our homes this rainy day to be here because of one person's authenticity. We don't have to talk about the people that are not actually touched. We don't have to talk about the people that are so far removed from us. All we have to do is just stop and look right in front of us. We are all here together because one woman chose to be authentic. For 3 years, she showed up every single Saturday, showing us what authenticity looks like, and we are all here celebrating. So in terms of your question, the answer really is staring us all in the face. If you are not authentic, you cannot have genuine connection, genuine relationships, and sustainability because your diamonds are in people. So I just wanted to say that.
I must confess that every time I do this, I always feel like I'm serious. It's the truth.
I think we all want to be the best version of ourselves, so we present in a certain way. My question is around the evolution of us. As you change, sometimes you don't realize you've changed. So who do you present? Because to be honest, one of the things a lot of my friends tell you is when I had my first child, I went through postpartum depression. So who I presented was not that depressed person, it was very put together. So how do you phase your authenticity around the evolution? Because you were constantly changing. You talked about Mandela changing the way he dressed. That was part of his evolution. You talked about going back to childhood and figuring out where you lost your voice. So my question is, how are you your most authentic self when sometimes you don't even know yourself?
That's a good one. Yeah, sometimes we don't know ourselves.
I thought sometimes when and I think Jayne will get me out with respect to it because when people talk about authenticity, they talk about the iceberg theory. And with the iceberg, you only see 10% of it, 90% of it is submerged. They tend to define the 10% above as who people think you are. The 90% that is submerged is who you think you are. And when you add all the 90 and 10 together, actually then we who truly you are. A lot of times when we try to define who we are, because we are not connected to truly who we are, it's then difficult to be who we are because we then keep on going different kinds of change and transformation that's not really us. If we know who we are, then it's easy to define who we are. So if we key in, for example, say we key into Christ, and we know that Christ is all about love. And then you look at different expressions of love and different characteristics of love. You look at love being peaceful, love being joyous, love being kind, love being gentle. You look at love being generous. And you look at the fact that love bears all things, hopes all things, believes all things, trusts all things. If we keep into that, then we will always be constant, irrespective of whatever happens to us. We will always be constant. When we have not defined who we are, that our journey as who we are becomes very, very, very. I mean, if we look, for example, I'm not sure how many people know about Private Black. If I mention the name Private Black, I don't know if that name means anything to anything. But if I say Private Black of the United States Army that was taken into North Korea, everybody starts to realize who he is. So as who he is nothing. As who he is, being an American, he starts to become something. So if we know who we are, it's easier to define who we are, and then we wouldn't be sort of be modified by everything else. we will actually truly really be transformed by the renewal of our mind to where we are and to who we are, really wants us to be.
You have a question? What you said about evolving. You can only evolve what you genuinely are. So you become better of that thing. We go through circumstances, we have different seasons. We have seasons of, childbirth, post-childbirth, all of those things. But who you are at your core will never, ever change. And once you understand that, the reason we're having this conversation, partly I think, is because we don't know who we are. So we have taken all these different labels. I'm a teacher, I'm a doctor, I'm a pastor, I'm a pastor's wife, I'm the head of department, I'm all these different things. And then you have a baby, nobody calls you a mother, right? Then somebody calls you a mother and you're like, what does that really look like, right? But when he made you, when your creator made you, he had already given you your identity. And this identity follows you through all the different seasons, whether you're a pastor's wife, whether you're in the army, whether you're in the Navy SEAL, it doesn't matter. What happens is, I always say to my coaches and my mentees, go back to source, which is what Gbenga has been saying. When you understand, even in that season, that you're thinking, I should be something else, I should be doing, no, who are you? Growing up, I used to talk a lot. Don't laugh. For those of you that don't laugh. But I got my mouth slapped a lot as well. And coming up from the culture I come from, kids were not allowed to speak. So every time I had something intelligent to say, or I thought it was intelligent, I had my mouth whacked. So I started to think, this talking is not a good thing. But maybe many people make millions from talking. So the point I'm making is, I wouldn't stop talking, even though my culture and my upbringing slapped my mouth so many times. I've definitely my left ear because I was slapped so many times. But my identity is still my identity. I'm a communicator. I'm a conversationalist. If you put a mute person beside me, I will talk to the mute person. So the point I'm making is, it doesn't matter. We're all different, but inside of you, if you know that you know that you know that you know, you will evolve it into better versions of yourself.
That's so true, though, about how our child shuts us down. And I want to ask you, she's a new mom, isn't she? I want to tell you a story about, there's a story by P.D. Eastman. It's called Are You My Mother? It's one of my favorite stories to illustrate sermons and identity. So, you like stories? Whilst you're waiting for your food, why not? Knock myself out. So, a baby, a mother bird is sitting on her eggs. And then suddenly she dumps on her like how mothers do. My goodness, the eggs are going to hatch any minute. There's no food at home. Then the mother bird flies off in search of food. As soon as she flies off, it's a short version of the long story. Read it to your children if you have young children. As soon as it's about who defines you, as soon as the mother bird flies off, what should happen? The egg cracks open and the baby bird comes out. And the first question on the baby bird's lips is not where is the food. Take a guess. Because it's your mother who defines you. So the baby bird goes in search of its mother. And then the first thing that it passes is the mother wrestling a well. But how do you know something if you've never had one before? And the mother didn't see the child, as many of us were not seeing when we were growing up. So the baby bird continues, then he sees a cow. He sees many family animals, the cow, and says, Are you my mother? The cow just looked at it and just moved off. It's like the fact that something has a milk doesn't make it a mother. Baby bird continues on his journey, he sees the dog. He says to the dog, Are you my mother? The dog says, I'm a dog. It means I don't look like you, so I can't be your mother. Not who created us, bear that in mind. Baby bird continues on his journey, then he sees the hen, and the hen is so rude. He says, I'm not your mother. That now the baby bird is just being born, is having a crisis. And he goes and runs up to the top of the cliff and stands on top of the cliff and shouts, Where is my mother? Starts screaming like I'm gonna die, I've just been born, I don't even know where my mother is. And then suddenly a crane is flying. and it's coming down, and the baby bird thinks it's an aeroplane, and it leaps off the mountain edge, flying towards the crane, and the crane swoops down, picks up this baby bird, and then says, "Oh, I'm going to die now. I don't even know my mother. I'm going to die now. My day is over. I've just been born." And the crane takes it down and lands the baby bird into the nest. And who should fly in just at that moment? The mother. And she asks the question that every mother always asks: "Do you know who I am?" I'm your mother, because it's your mother who defines you. So our journey goes back to the womb as when we come out. How the story, because when you look in your children's eyes, you are mirrors to them. They see you and then they define you. Second part, the when we become Christians, we get to know Jesus. God reparents us back, and God makes up for the deficits that were not on our developmental journey. He needs to remind us, "You were made in my image. You have my essence. You have my creativity. You're beautiful." And then, like Doctor said, then those words begin to now transform you as you renew your mind to them. And so you don't really evolve, my dear. You just suddenly begin to embrace who you truly are. So the postpartum, all of that were events that kind of takes you away from who you are. And you rediscover your voice and your authenticity. Authenticity is courage. It's scary to be yourself. That's why we hold back sometimes. It's scary. But every time you take one step towards authenticity and get more courage, guess what? Oh, you get better at yourself. And that's why I'm getting older now and I'm more freer than ever, because I've been on this journey for a while. But in the beginning, it was harder to be myself. I hope that helps. Free therapy session.
Thank you so much. And it's true, it's authenticity. There's times when I want to post something on Instagram, I'm like, there's a pastor. Why are you posting this?
Yes. Yeah.
You know, I want to post a picture of me dancing or something. I'm like, yeah. But my haters say, what she's doing, don't you know that? So,
What if being yourself, being authentic, drives people away from you? Does that mean you're not changing yourself? Or should you change to be more approachable and more relatable to people?
which one? Good question. Did you guys all did you hear the question?
So okay, ask the question.
No.
Okay, her question is, what if being authentic, being yourself, drives people away? In a nutshell, yeah? That shouldn't you change to have the people around you? Simple answer and short answer is no, you should not change. You are authentic for a reason. You are meant to be. I know I'm shouting, but I want to project my voice. And the reason for this is because we want to be accepted. The number one human need is love. The number one human need is not food, it's love. Right? People think it's food, it's not food, it's love. And because love means acceptance, we all want to be accepted. We want to be accepted by our spouses, we want to be accepted by our children, we want to be accepted in our workplaces by our bosses. So therefore, we seem to always lose a part of who we really are for the acceptance.
Let me give you an example. What is the negative trait?
Right. If it is a negative trait and you have identified it as a negative trait, then it's your responsibility.
You might not be aware.
Right, so that's okay. There are 4 levels of consciousness, and they will bear no witness. The first level is unconscious incompetence. And unconscious incompetence basically means you are unaware, right? Yeah. You don't know. And you don't know what you don't know. So you're doing all of these negative things, but you don't know you're doing it. God helps you by bringing people to tell you. So when people tell you, you're still denying it. You're still saying, no, I'm not like that. No, I'm not like that. Yanmo, you shout a lot. No, I don't shout a lot. I'm unaware, right? But it's negative, right? So when you are now aware, you have to, in your moment, sit down and say, why are all these people telling me the same thing? So that means they can be wrong, and you have to also define who are telling you, right? If it's the naysayers, of course. Now, so in context of what we're saying, this is it. If they are telling you something, at that moment, they're bringing awareness to you, right? When they bring that awareness to you, you now move on to the next phase, which is you are now aware. So it's now your responsibility to start to do something about it. So we all have positive traits, we all have negative traits.
So does not take away from my authenticity.
No, it doesn't take away from your authenticity, because really, like Dr. Saka said, everything is about love. So if you, for example, you get angry a lot, yeah, is that a positive trait? No. So get rid of it, so that you can actually attract more people to you that will show you love, and you will become even more lovable. So that's not taken away from your authenticity. Authenticity means that you are original, but sometimes, even with apples or with mangoes, sorry, I like using fruits, you have defects on them. They don't make them to the supermarket shelves, right? But does it mean that, there's still no apples? No, they're just saying these ones, we cannot sell these ones. So they may end up putting maybe more fertilizers or whatever to make them better. So identify what the negative elements of your authenticity, work on them, right? And then people are going to be more attracted to you. That's what I'm saying.
I'm not sure that there's much more I'm going to add to that, other than if you are truly, really, really, really authentic, it's difficult for people not to like you. What tends to happen is when you start to modify your authenticity to please other people, to be who they want you to be. And when you start to do that, it's not real. You put in so much effort, and people start to see through that this is not the real person. But even though if we look at who we really are, we are all wrong, then we then get refined to who we truly really are. And it's in that process of being refined that transformation takes place. It doesn't change, it doesn't replace you. You're still the same person, but you're just transformed from who you are to a better person. So if people don't like the real you, the first question is that the real you? Because if that's not the real you, it's difficult to work on that thing that's not the real you. Then if it's the real you and then people don't like you, are you then associating with the wrong people? Because even there's something they say in Nigeria. Please follow my vernacular. Monkey no fine, mama like. So yeah. So he said a monkey may not be beautiful, but the mother still loves it. So if people don't like you, are you actually in the right environment? Because there's always something about people that people will like.
Can I disagree with you? Because I think you can be authentic, and there's still some people that will not like you.
They are not your people. They are not your people.
Yes. So it's not because you said that you're genuinely authentic, that there's no reason why people like you. Yes, exactly. They didn't like Jesus.
You don't have to like everybody, and everybody does not have to like you. But you need to find who likes you, because it's the people that like you that bring out the best in you. I mean, like Yanmo was saying, we're here because of Pastor Funke. She's bringing out the best in us, but more importantly, we're actually bringing out the best in her. Now, not everybody will like Pastor Funke. I mean, Pastor Funke will not like everybody. But if she chooses the people that she wants, and she's choosing us today, and we're happy to relate with her, and that's what it should really be.
I think what you I think what you said in your unconscious awareness answered it all. But I just want to add to something that we have our personality, which is called our persona. Latin word for is a mask or front. When you meet somebody for the first time, you put your best foot forward because you don't know them. And that's all right. Then we have your character. It's called your inner nature. The Bible calls it the inner man of the heart. So when we become Christians, God wants us to work on our character, our inner nature. It's the person you are when nobody is around. So let's not confuse, because authenticity is owning who you are. That means your essence, the things that make you you, the things that make you Gbenga, the things that make you funky. That's your essence. The heavy, talkative, all of that is not the same.
Really?
No, my love. People tried in my house. I raised a precocious child who was down talk alone when she went to Ghana, but never in England. So your character, your inner nature, that you work on. So when people get married or they go on a date, guess what? You put your best foot forward. Put all of you forward, you brush your teeth, you do all the things, you wear deodorant, all those things. Even a man will go to and watch an opera with a woman and then sleep through it. As my husband did. But then as you get closer, guess what? You can no longer do persona in your front. The inner person of the heart will start to emerge. And when that happens, if we're talking about Bible transformation, when you begin to see things in me, because my husband said to me a few years after marriage, I never got angry till I met you. I said, welcome to my world. I'm going to rock your world till you get angry. But guess what? Ted Roberts in his book Sexy Christian said marriage is one of God's tools that he uses to cleanse the human heart. Because on your own, when you're relating with just you think you're so nice, I'm such a nice girl, I'm so cool. And I start reacting with her, and something comes out of my character. What God wants us to do if we're married is when that comes up, we put a cross between us. And we bring that behavior that's not right to death. And when we die like Christ died, comes a better person. So it's a character we modify. But the essence of who you are, being a talkative as she is, being outgoing, exuberant, that is your persona. That's who you are. You don't. Character is things that are in you, irritability, maybe too much anger. Anger is a bad emotion. But getting angry all the time, being sarcastic, means that there's something hurting you that you haven't addressed. So that's character. So let's not mix that up with authenticity. Do you get a difference? Because your authenticity is who you are. And some of us are introverts. And it's okay to be an introvert. It's cool. It's okay. But when things come out of us that are not healthy for relating, for intimacy, we have to address those things. And when others point it out to us, especially those that we are in relationship with, then we know that, oh, we look in the mirror and say, okay, I'm really like this. I need to really tone this down.
I just wanted to add that authenticity also is, you have to remember that we're spirits. And not everybody is going to like your spirit. And you can't be perfect. And it's also about your values. Just an example, my kids grew up in Nigeria and they're here for university. And their first year, my son was rooming with about 9 people. And everybody, I mean, they had their own rooms and everything. And it's ensuite, but everybody was either binary or it was just something we were not used to. And what he said to me is that because I say to my kids when they grow up, always ask yourself who you are. So I think authenticity is also understanding your values. So your values will set your boundaries. And we're having a lot of problems with our kids from where we're from, where most of us are from, because the values are not there, so they're confused about who they are. And it also happens in adulthood as well. So I think we have to realize from what you said about you have to change yourself. You're a spirit, so you're not a perfect spirit. Only God is a perfect spirit. So people have to accept you, good, bad, ugly, whatever you are, as it is. But being authentic means that you understand your values and you don't go outside of those boundaries.
Thank you very much. Can I just throw like in the wheel? My training is such that I question everyone. So in terms of authenticity, I struggle with pronouncing that word anyway. So it's good to hear it come out nicely. I'm not going to say it again. In terms of authenticity and identity, I feel like authenticity is your first presentation of self. And like you were saying about whether it doesn't have even to be negative. We have people who could be confrontational, not in the sense that they are trying to hurt or speak down on people. They're just upfront, okay? And authenticity is in that place where your first thoughts is not manipulated, I think. And when we start to redefine it, so I appreciate that we're speaking the Bible, we're also being very literary in our definitions, but I'm trying to question every why. And when we say authenticity, I feel like the first thought in your heart is your authentic self. So whether it's the confrontational one or the subtle ones, I feel like that is the authentic self. Now when we're speaking about identity, it's completely different, which I think evolves, if you ask me. So yeah, I just thought I would add that into the mix.
I was going to say, do you agree with that? That the first thought.
Can I say something? I completely agree with you. We always talk about values. More importantly, there's something called core values, and there are over 200 core values to help us identify who we really are. So, for example, your core value could be fun. Your core value could be family. Your core value could be being confrontational. Your core value could be holiday. Your core value could be relationships. Your core value could be solitude. Your core value could be leadership. There's so many core values. You need to basically spend some time, and I'm saying this to everyone, understanding what your core values are. Because to your point, if you understand your core values, that really is your essence. And once you understand that it is your essence, the people that are supposed to come to you will come to you. Stop running to people. People will come to you. If you have to do something that is not aligned to your core value, then you are in error. And when you are in error, everything about you will be diseased. So disease will come into your body, right? So let me give you an example. My core value is fact. It means fun, authentic, controversial, or creative and truthful. Get an acronym for your core values. And if people don't like certain things about you, that's okay. We're not all meant to be liked. We need to stop this thing of being, I want to be liked, I want to be accepted. Not everybody accepted Jesus. So not everyone's going to accept you.
Yeah, so in just looking at the issue of core values, you realize that I just that was balance here, like an iceberg. There's 10% and 90%. Part of that 90% is the core value. And there are different core values, but everybody's not going to see one of the core values in one. So they're going to see a mixture of it, and the mixture of what is that 10%. You can then manage those core values. You can evolve it, you can develop it, you can maximize it, and then that changes 10% that people, that people see.
I showed Dr. Gbenga my core values. You didn't show me. Yeah, I have my core values on my phone. When I'm working with people and they're coming towards the end of therapy or coaching, I ask them if they're Christians to prayerfully look at their core values, because your core values, I think we're still in the theory of this, they help you live intentionally. That's right. Core values are put there, helps me to live intentionally. When I'm in conflict, I ask myself, are my core values being tested? So over several years of being on my own journey, my core values are 1, Jesus, 2, relationships, 3, authenticity, 4, purpose, and 5, knowledge and wisdom. I love having knowing things. I also want to know how to apply them. So I do this with clients. I ask them, go as you finish this process and where our journey is heading, and look for your core values, because they will help you when you are in conflict in relationships and with people. And I have a younger daughter who is so outgoing. And when she was about 9 years old, she was in grammar school. Her father sat her down and said, Sinead, not everybody is going to like you. She just burst into tears. Daddy, how can you do that to me? She said, how? But she's learned a powerful truth. Now at 32 years old, she says it has changed her life. Because she thought when she was fun and loud and precocious, everybody would love her. Her father had to sit her down and give her a reality check at 9 years old. And I was waiting, like, this is a good thing to be in you. Not everybody will like you, but there are people who love people like her, people like my daughter who are loud. But work on your core values. If nothing else, you didn't get anything from today, define for yourself who am I, what do I live for? And whenever you are in conflict, you ask yourself, are my core values being tested?
So how many people know what their core values are? How many people know what their core values are? Great. How many people do you know what your core values are? Okay, for those who don't, please take this away. Go and find out what your core values are. And put it in stuff. So we're going to round up. Quick one.
This is going to be a very quick one, and I just want to pick on what everyone on the panel has said. But I just feel I really need to say this about authenticity. I think the gentleman of the panel, he said about who's we are. And I think if we really want to know about our authenticity, we have to go back to who we are. Now, who we are is good. So your authentic self is always good. If it isn't good in the general, and there's a general sense of good that we all know the difference between right and wrong. That means that we have to refine our authentic self to be that which the maker, the whose we are created. I'm going to take a butterfly as an example. It didn't start life as a butterfly. It started as a caterpillar. I don't think everybody loves a caterpillar. I don't think I know anybody who has a pet caterpillar. Apart from children when they come in their weird stages. But the caterpillar will evolve and become that beautiful butterfly that we all admire. And it's still authentic. That core value was still in it as that ugly, many-footed caterpillar. So that's what we must all bear in mind. If we have a part of it of us that we think is authentic and it's okay, if it's not good, then that's not our authentic self.
Thank you so much. Last question.
I should know your name because
Yanmo.
it's lovely to see you face to face because I absolutely adore it.
Thank you.
I just wanted to make a comment. It's not really a question, please forgive me. It's more of a comment. It's just because you mentioned something about infiltration in your body. And it's
Christina was on Hangout Cafe, I think about a year or so ago. You need to watch her, the conversation we had. I can't remember what was it called. Yeah, something like that. I'll tell you. I'll talk about it again. But I think we should allow the time to decide. And you still have your question. Do you have a final thing about this before you guys? Let me just sit down. Yeah.
Hey, Christina.
Christina.
Hey, Christina. Hey, Christina. Thank you for being so vulnerable. Thank you for being so vulnerable. Vulnerability is authenticity. Vulnerability is authenticity. So can we please put our hands together? Please put our hands together. And if you don't mind me saying, one of your core values is courage. Because, and you may not feel it, and many courageous people don't feel courage. So it's okay, it doesn't mean it is not. For you to take a microphone and speak to what, 60, 70 plus people, that is vulnerability, that is courage, that is authenticity. I celebrate you, we celebrate you, and whatever is happening, you will know that you are loved regardless. Ignore the naysayers and just continue to do you. I hope that helps. Brother.
Last one.
Yeah, the only thing I was going to say about authenticity is that it can be rewarding, it can be attractive because it attracts people to you. It might reveal your flaws and your vulnerability, but that's the essence of who you are. Because it's some of those flaws that people actually see and they want to help you work out and make it better. But there are lots of benefits of the system. Part of it being liberating, part of it being rewarding, and part of it being encouraging others and inspiring others as well.
Thank you. I think I just want to add that becoming your authentic self is a process, just like renewing your mind every day. So it's not something that you get to and say, oh, I'm authentic. It's a journey that I am still on. It's a process. It means that every day I wake up and I accept all of myself, including my flaws, including my weaknesses. Because God didn't make us perfect. The perfect one lives inside of us, but we're not perfect. Until the day that we see Him, and then we shall be like Him. So until that day, we just keep stepping out every day. You know, so enjoy your meal. Bon appetit. I think we are also quite hungry.
Thank you so much. Can we appreciate Yanmo? Hey, thank you so much.